Biden gave a speech today, I believe, knowing that really shitty numbers are coming out in a few days on inflation, worse than already. Let's take a listen to some of his speech, which is mostly blaming Republicans.
The fastest decline in unemployment to start a presidential term ever recorded. And in addition, Americans have applied to start 5.4 million new small businesses last year, 20% more than any other year on record. And I see, and as I see it, everything across the country is, as I go across the country, our economy has gone from being on the mend to on the move. I know the families all across America are hurting because of inflation. I understand what it feels like. I come from a family where when the price of gas or food went up, we felt it. It was a discussion at the kitchen table. I want every American to know that I'm taking inflation very seriously, and it's my top domestic priority. The first is my plan, the Democratic plan. Plan put forward by congressional Republicans is a second alternative. Here's how each of us would tackle inflation. My plan is to lower everyday costs for hardworking Americans, and lower the deficit by asking large corporations and the wealthiest Americans to not engage in price gouging and to pay their fair share in taxes. The Republican plan is to increase taxes on the middle-class families, let billionaires and large companies off the hook as they raise prices and reap profits at record amounts. And it's really that simple. Here at home, U.S. oil and gas production is approaching record levels. In fact, we produced more oil domestically in my first year in office than my predecessor did in his first year. To further drive down prices, my administration is allowing the sale of gasoline using.
I can't take anymore, Steve.
I can't take it. It's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever fucking heard in my life.
Wait, Steve, can I just play Biden, who, by the way, seems to be having trouble staying awake? Let's be real. That was pretty low energy and other things. Steve, you are the CEO of, Walmart. Mr. Grumbine, would you please kindly, it would really help us out for the holiday Christmas party. If you, please, kindly, I'm asking you, please stop price gouging. Will you do that for me? Thanks so much.
No.
I'll see you at the Christmas party. Anyway. Can you explain what's going on here? Because to me, trust me, the Republicans have been basically, obstructing government now, basically for 30 years since Gingrich and those tactics in the 90s. But I don't think it's Republicans that are the problem here with inflation.
Now, I want to be that guy that runs around with a baseball bat and just smashes things and just has a temper tantrum when I hear that crap. And it's got me so angry because the sad thing is,
just to be clear, YouTube, we are not talking about taking a bat to the president.
No, it's a proverbial.
Yes. Go ahead.
It's got me insane though, because the facts are twofold, right? We had a supply chain issue and we are still trying to catch up to that, period. That's number one. So there's the legitimate angle on inflation, that we had supply chain issues. We realized with globalism that supply chains were very frail. And now that we're in precarious times because these morons started a war by proxy, etc., now we're stuck with supply chains that are incomplete, broken at different places, and we're having to find different suppliers across the world. Okay, so we've got a supply chain issue. It's number one. Number two, this jackhole is literally talking about reducing the deficit. Now, I want you to understand what a fucking moronic thing this is. How utterly worthless, feckless, useless, less than human this is. Okay, how subhuman, stupid this is. All right, by taking money out of the economy, he is literally ensuring that he kills the economy. This is what Bill Clinton did when he ushered in the first recession before Bush took office, and then carried forward to the global financial crisis that we went through in the great financial crisis of 07-08. Though some partisans out there still fantasize that it was all W. I hate to break it to you. That was all Brother Bill, and it was all doing the stupid ass shit that Biden is doing right now. $1.3 trillion in deficit reduction is literally $1.3 trillion in money that has been deleted from the economy. Okay. So there's the first thing. The second thing is this: when you want to create an economy that operates well within this supply chain, what do? Do you cut spending? No. Cutting spending literally shrinks GDP. What you do is you target your spending to increase production. China haters be damned. China had a One Belt, One Road initiative. They have fattened up the supply chains. They have ensured they have good ways to get goods and services through their entire apparatus, their network, their sales network that they have created. Very, very vital to their production in China. We instead of being like even clued in the slightest bit, this fucking idiot, this moron, this neo-Maxi Zundweeby, this jackass is talking about reducing the deficit. Now, because a lot of people out there, really bad people, have conditioned most of us to think that the government needs to save money. That's why you hear a lot of idiots talking about, well, we reduced the spending on the military and we can afford things. Has nothing to do with it. Government creates money every single time it spends. That's where all the money's coming from that we're giving to Ukraine right now. We certainly didn't tax you higher to get money for Ukraine, did we? Not a single penny came from you. Okay? So Biden knows this. He's been hearing this from people that matter for a long, long time. This is about disciplining you and I because the masters above want to be able to watch us suffer. And what happens once we start suffering? We start losing our homes. Remember that? 2008, 2009, we start losing our homes. And who comes behind us and buys these houses at auction and then in turn rents them out at 200% more than what they were being paid for as purchased properties? That would be BlackRock and others. This is the plan, folks. Get used to it. Until you get it through your head that deficit reduction is a fucking loser's proposition. It is a worthless idea. Anyone that stands for it is pushing austerity, and austerity is murder. So anybody, and I'm sorry, this is to my MMT friends as well. If you play patty cake with people that are literally committing murder through austerity, I got no use for you. We have got to stop treating murder by proxy and murder by policy through deficit reduction as just some sort of difference of opinion. You wouldn't call it difference of opinion if I held a Glock up. You wouldn't consider that. You would consider that violence. You would consider that murder. But when you strip away the economy of its money, when you take away the money from the people, okay, and then they start losing everything, including taking choices about not getting their health taken care of because they're afraid they'll get another deductible, and all of a sudden they die. These are real life deaths called social murder. And there's a great study in the UK. Look it up. Austerity is social murder, and find out more about it. If you don't believe me, find out from the experts, because you maybe don't believe that I know what I'm talking about. That's fine. Go find out for yourself. But in the meantime, though, if you hear Biden ever say something about it's good because we're going to reduce the deficit, know that man is your enemy. He is not your friend. And anybody that advocates for reducing the deficit, I don't care who they are, is not your friend. They are literally a murderer by policy, a murderer by proxy. And anyone who wants to tee with the pinky out and fucking dull that down, you're no better. You're helping. You're an accessory to murder. If you're one of those people that, oh, we can say this more gently. To hell with that. The people dying didn't get it done gently. They didn't get to feel it gently. And they didn't get to die slowly and softly and quietly and peacefully. They fucking died because of austerity. And that means that you deficit hounds, you folks out there pushing deficit reduction, are murdering people. Murdering, not just differing opinions, murdering. And that's what's going down right here, folks. Get ready, because it's going to be a very, very yucky winter with deficit reduction and the Fed jacking up interest rates. Folks, when they jack up interest rates, what they're doing is jacking up the initial rate for interbank dollars, the overnight window, okay? So the cost of money to clear payments in the system, okay, behind the scenes, you never see this, goes up. Whatever point. But then the next person that gets those dollars, what do? They then They then go ahead and add an additional margin on it. And then the next one adds additional margin. And before long, this is what creates inflation. They would need to jack interest rates up to 20% or more to be able to have the kind of effect on the economy that they would want to have. And if they wanted to, they would be killing the economy. Think back to Paul Volcker back in the 70s during the OPEC crisis. Okay, this is what these dipshits are doing right here, right now. And the only people that win are the people at the top, because those interest payments go to them. You and I, we just pay more. This is the stupidest fucking thing in the world. And that, my friends, is your Democratic Party. And sadly, most of your elected representatives or candidates running for office don't understand this shit. So they will be patsies for this garbage. You know, and this, my friends, will kill you. I promise. No joke. Very serious.
Biden, how he kindly asked and kind of subtly mentioned, companies, when price gouging. Why do you think he's not going to actually do anything? Because there are actual tools in the toolbox that the president, Congress can use to penalize companies that are price gouging. Why do you think he's not going to do anything? But besides the fact that we live in the United Corporations of America, because they desperately need their money for the next 4 or 5 months for the midterms. Senate campaigns, House campaigns, governorships, state assembly, you name it. They're prostituting. I mean, they're always prostituting themselves, but specifically now, it's an arms race between the DNC, the RNC, the DCCC, the N triple, whatever, and they can't do anything to their donors on price gouging because their whole homeostasis is hoarding money and selling government to these donors. So in addition to what you just explained about the Fed and the interest rates, overnight, this and that, it's as much corruption too. Because you want to know something?
It's all corruption.
JFK in the 1960s, he went to war with U.S. Steel. For you kids that don't know your history, you kids, I'm only 35. But he very publicly not only said to Amazon, Amazon, we're coming for you, like Biden said, while then giving Amazon another fucking $10 billion contract. Yeah, we're coming for you, Amazon. Here's another contract. No, JFK literally said, I'm going to tax the fuck out of you, U.S. Steel, or we're going to take away your subsidies, this and that. U.S. Steel brought down prices in 5 minutes. That's how it's done. But back then, not that JFK, was, total. I mean, they did steal the election in 1960. Excuse me, YouTube. I'm talking about 1960, not 2020. To be clear, I have to self-censor because of YouTube. Obviously, we know Democratic Party machine, that election was interesting in 1960. But the point is, JFK actually, showed some spine and took on the corporations, and they backed down. Biden could do the same thing. And you want to know something? He might actually rally the base that way. He might excite people if prices come down, but the Democrats don't want that because then their donations start drying up.
Is it still murder if the deficit is reduced by raising taxes on the rich, stock trades, or a wealth tax? Look, the bottom line here is that taxes are deleted. So all you're doing is getting at them. The fact is that you're not helping the other people, right? Yes, you can, if you have a substantive tax that literally attacks, targeted tax towards them that they can't pass on to you, okay? That they can't pass on through higher prices, through more gouging, through other means, okay? These taxes, they don't just sit there and go to see. These people pull out. They hide their money. They do all kinds of stuff, okay? Should we tax the rich? Yes, absolutely we should, okay? The problem is that if you don't backfill that spending towards the people, if all you're doing is taxing, but you're not literally spending, you're literally depleting the tub. And what you end up doing is decreasing GDP, which then in turn creates recessions. And then the markets react, and then all the other downstream things start happening. Not because there's some God-breathed thing, but because these are things that people have been cued to cue off of. And so the herd does these things in the market. The market is nothing but an after effect. It's not the real economy. The real economy is you and I working and stuff like that. This is the fire sector, finance. We could wipe out finance. I see no reason to have finance, quite frankly. I mean, just to go full draconian, I think that we should not even have that. But with the reason that we do have it, The fact is that you're not actually giving little people anything. What you're doing is you're over here attacking this instead of helping them. I oftentimes tell people, hey, look, if you're in the desert, you have a gun over here that you can shoot the person that left you in the desert, or you can get that glass of water and drink a glass of water. Which one are you taking? Okay. Now, if I take that glass of water and I can walk the rest of the way across the desert and get out of there, probably better off to take the glass of water. Unfortunately, most reactionaries will grab the gun instead, and then they'll die in the desert too. And that's the problem with that strategy, that mindset. So is it murder? You tell me.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.